The selfie stick is back. I've been forgetting to use this thing. Well, somewhat, oh, here it is. Man, it's another one of these Monsanto-sized comments. It's funny how each week, just kind of by default, a new theme will develop in the videos that I do. It's funny how that just works, but let's see. So this comment was from a video yesterday. I'm getting balder and uglier, yet happier and more confident. And that was me saying that. Of course, I don't believe that I'm getting uglier, but I was quoting people who say that in the comments. There'll be guys who say that I'm ugly and I need to shave my hair or I need to take Propecia. So I was tongue-in-cheek quoting them when I was using that word. But okay, here's what Robert had to say. Here's some highlights from what he said. Quote, I don't think it's a paradox that you're happier and balder and more confident. And the reason for that, he goes on to say, you're older, wiser, more mature, and you have perspective. You know what's ultimately important in life, and hair isn't anywhere near the top of that list, end quote. And I want to agree, Robert's right. That's something that we see fundamentally different in me compared to so many people watching these videos. It's just not a priority because all these other things matter more. So naturally, I'm not going to worry about those things. In fact, I spent my lunch break yesterday driving to the bank to talk to them about refinancing our house so that hopefully I can have the house paid off by the time I'm 50. You know, that's what I care about. I want to be able to be 50 years old and all the money I make go straight into the bank account and not have to pay a house payment. And that's going to get me ahead financially because that's what I care about more. I don't care about hair loss. I care about money. I keep saying that over and over, but people tend to not believe me. I'm doing this for the money. I'm doing this for the money. I'm doing this for the money. I keep saying that over and over. People don't believe me. But I want to read a little bit more of what Robert had to say. He said, quote, still working on the not allowing myself to be offended aspect of your philosophy. I'm not sure you ever fully explained how you got to that point. I mean, I get it that you're the only one in control over your emotions, but is that it? That's the one epiphany you had on the subject and everything changed? Seems like there has to be more, end quote. So I want to talk more about that because the video before this one is talking about how ironic or paradoxical, if that's a word, and I should know because I'm an English major, but the concept that we allow our happiness to be based on other people's perceptions of us based on hair loss, and even those perceptions are our perceptions of what we think they think about us. It's not necessarily what they actually think about us, it's what we assume they're thinking about us. And there's a good chance they're not actually judging us on hair loss. Instead, they're judging on us on the stuff that actually matters. And this is something I have a very healthy grasp of. And I think that's what goes back to that confidence level that I have, why I can, in theory, quote, be uglier and older and balder, but more confident. So I want to talk about what Robert's saying there about how not allowing other people, you know, to offend him. I think there might even be a pattern here in which men who allow themselves to be offended by other people are going to be the same guys whose hair loss doesn't bother them. Meanwhile, men who allow other people to offend them are going to naturally be more sensitive to their hair loss, and that hair loss is going to bother them. I think that's a theory that, thanks to Robert saying that, I think I'm able to see that's probably another very important theory that I should probably talk about more. I think this is a new theory. It's very fundamentally important, though. It really is. You know, I think of growing up, I remember in high school, my dad would have been in his early 40s at that point, and his hair loss was going from a Norwood 4 to a Norwood 5 at that point. And I remember it was bothering him, and he was sensitive to it. And I remember hearing him talk about it. And I think growing up in high school, hearing that, that's kind of what triggered me to realize I don't want to feel like other people have control over my emotions and they can say, man, Nick, I can see the back of your head right there. You're starting to thin, huh? Like, I didn't want people to be able to have any kind of effect on my day by them saying that stuff. And it bothered my dad. But I think from seeing him have to go through all that, subconsciously, it kind of rewired me to think, you know what? What if I take that power away from them and I don't let that bother me? Because otherwise I'll always be somebody else's slave. I'll be a victim. And I just don't want other people to control me like that. Because if you let some people control you and some people hurt your feelings and some people offend you, then ultimately you're always fair game to be offended. So that's why I think, and here's the theory I'm introducing to you now. If you can get to the point where you do not allow anyone to offend you about anything, and you take that power for yourself, you're probably going to be a guy whose hair loss doesn't bother him anymore. That's my theory, because I'm one of the few people in the world who openly talks about that. This says no one is allowed to offend me because I won't let them. And about a year or so ago, I made a video on my YouTube channel where I invited the free world to try to offend me and insult me, and no one was able to. Why? Because I didn't let them. So, theory, let me say it out loud one more time. The theory is this. If like me, you truly do not, there was a gnat. If like me, you truly do not allow anyone to offend you or insult you in any way, like they can say whatever they want to, but it just doesn't bother you. If you can be that kind of person, you're going to be a guy whose hair loss doesn't bother them, because they're one and the same. There's a certain amount of emotional intelligence and confidence that comes with being able to say whatever you want to about me. I'm cool with it. My emotions don't change. I know who I am. I'm cool with it. Say whatever you need to. Because again, I always know that people who go around insulting other people and putting them down are people who don't feel confident to begin with. They're simply spreading their disease, like the leper Messiah. That's a Metallica reference from Master of Puppets that no one will recognize. But I'm a confident person. I go around spreading positive information. I don't have time or energy to insult anyone, right? So it makes sense that a guy who is so confident that he doesn't allow anyone to affect his emotions is going to be so confident that his hair loss doesn't bother him. Meanwhile, the guy who is very, maybe even normally offended by things, you know, you allow your emotions to change because of something someone said to you or said about you. If that's what kind of person you are, then yeah, I would say naturally you're going to be more likely to, be devastated through hair loss, because that makes you more of a target, more of a victim for the free world to be able to offend you, hurt your feelings, hurt your self-esteem, and those. I mean, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So let's process that. Let's think about that. Tell me more about this theory, but I really think that this is fundamentally important to all of us in my video series about hair loss. I think this really stacks up. This really holds a lot of weight. This theory is important. Now, process it, leave comments, let's discuss it.